Huntington, and I'm going to give a little presentation on a few things. One, how I started my company, how I grew my company, and then just cover some tips and things I've learned along the way. So first off, I'm 5'10" and 175 pounds. In case anybody was curious, I know a few of you guys were probably wondering. I graduated from Moreland High School. I also did attend WCC like you guys. From there I went to Penn State in Keysport, which I think is now Greater Allegheny. From there I went to Penn State main campus and graduated with a bachelor's degree in business management and marketing. I currently live and run my business from North Huntington. So talking of education kind of leads me into my first point. It's so important to focus on building you and not your resume. I think a lot of people get so caught up in putting notches on their belt of their resume, and they lose track of what they're actually trying to do is educate themselves and build themselves into a future potential, employee, employer. So I didn't need my degree to start my company. Do you guys think I wasted my time, my money? I didn't need my degree to start a window cleaning company, but I spent tens of thousands of dollars on education. So do you guys think I wasted my time?
No.
Yeah, right. Obviously no, because everything I learned in school, learned through that experience, helped me to transition into my next experience of starting a small business. Your resume is your talk, your education is your walk. It's pretty self-explanatory. How many of you guys know about deep learning versus surface learning? You guys learn about that? It's a great tip for anybody in academics. Surface learning, for example, would be like you're cramming for a test the night before and you're just shoving note cards and vocab words in your face. The next day you go to the test and you just kind of like regurgitate everything you just dumped in your brain. You'll probably do good on a test. Actually, you'll probably do better on a test than you would versus deep learning. The problem with this is your retention level is going to be extremely low. So when you are learning, what you really want to focus on is deep learning. Really focus on trying to retain information, trying to get a better, more focused understanding of what you're learning. And this will stick with you a lot longer. You might not do as well on a test, but the stuff you've learned, you're going to retain and keep with you. So deciding what's for you and why I chose ownership. Actually, before I get into this, let me give you guys, I'm not sure how many of you guys even know much about window cleaning. Has anyone here ever had a window cleaner at their house, like growing up, or the business they worked at? A lot of people aren't really familiar with the trade or how it even works, and I'll explain how I got into it and how I chose that. But window cleaning is basically, we clean glass at commercial and residential locations. Usually it's on a monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly frequency. So once we get an account, we're basically serving that account for years, and hopefully many years to come. And I think that's about it, but a little rundown of, excuse me if I go to my notes once in a while. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've given a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, I guess that about covers that. Okay, next, so why I chose ownership and why I decided to be self-employed. I like the idea of being able to control my own destiny. I love the challenge of building something, setting a goal, and achieving it. The earning potential can be great, but there's also much higher risk being self-employed. You're taking all the risk on your own, the investment's all yours. And I just knew a standard 9 to 5 just wasn't for me. Driving downtown, suit and tie, just wasn't something I wanted to do. I love being outside, and who doesn't want to choose the people you work with, right? And that'd be nice. So I'm gonna run through a couple quick steps, just 3 steps real quick, how I started my company, how I got it off the ground, and then we'll talk about some other things that apply to having your own business. So the first step, and none of this is textbook, none of this is the way it has to be. This is the way I did it, and hopefully you guys can apply some of this, to your lives. So what kind of business should I even start? Obviously the first question is, what can you do? What should you do? So you need to identify possibilities. Things you think about are your skills and your strengths. Do you want to offer a product or a service? What are some of your interests? Very important, what kind of capital do you have available? What kind of access to funds do you have? And also look at the current market condition of any potential venture you might take on. Is the market flooded with competitors already? Do you see an opening? Maybe you see something a unique thing that you can offer that can maybe set you apart from the competition that is there. but something really important to look at when you go into business. So through those steps, I decided to be a window cleaner. We actually had someone that cleaned the windows at our family business. My dad was a small business owner, and through the process of thinking through what to do, I went through those steps, and one of the big things was, coming out of college, I had almost no capital to work with. And my dad said, we have a window cleaner at the restaurant, and they seem to do pretty well. His wife doesn't work, and it wouldn't take a lot of overhead to get started with. And I thought, well, that could be an option. So that was on my list, and eventually that kind of seemed like, wow, I'll get to be outside. I don't need a whole lot as far as finances to get started. This could be something for me, and I kind of landed on that. So obviously, some of the first things you need to do once you have a business idea are a name. A name is really important. Most of our competition in our markets are like Joe's Window Cleaning. I mean, people in some of these professions just don't go nearly as professional as they should, and don't try to get their image as professional as they can. But try to think of a fun name, really give a brand to your company. People see us. That's my first truck when I first started. That's still part of our little fleet today. But right off the bat, because I had maybe a business education, or because I just had some common sense, I wanted to make a logo that looked branded. People think it's a franchise, catches your eye. Obviously, then the truck's labeled with all our contact information. So once I had the name Mr.Squeegy, I needed to register it. I had to drop my business plan. A lot of people don't do this. I definitely did. Try to lay out what I thought at the time I wanted the outline of my business to be. And that, of course, included future goals, where I saw the company headed and going in the future. Obviously, obtain a license and insurance that you might need. That sounds like commonplace, but you'd be shocked in small business how many companies take shortcuts, avoid some of these steps. And we do a lot of corporations, just a lot of big clients, some big car dealerships and stuff we service that they're not going to hire anyone without insurance. So many mom and pop shops just don't even have some of the basic legal things covered to even be in business. And even just a regular homeowner, they want security of knowing that you're insured. Of course, I had to purchase tools, equipment, my uniform, so I made all my initial investments financially. So now you've decided on what you want to do. I've got all my tools, gear, I'm legal, I registered my corporation, we're an LLC, everything's ready to go. Now the most important thing is acquiring my first accounts. Without customers or clients, you're not going to be in business very long. So obviously, starting out, I had none and then very few accounts. So I had to work part-time during my initial growth just to support myself. Legwork, I didn't have a ton of money to dump into advertising initially. I did do some, but most of it was just, I went from neighborhood to neighborhood, putting door hangers on every door, putting flyers in grocery stores. Just working so hard to get my name out there. That ties in with just self-promotion, start a good word of mouth and local reputation. Once you get a reputation, people will talk about you. In any line of work, people are looking for the best of that when they hire or buy a product from that line of work. So yeah, building your reputation is just huge. If we treat a customer great on one street, they tell the neighbor, they tell the other neighbor, and it just kind of spider webs and works itself around. I met with a lot of local business owners and managers. In any business, developing relationships is key. I did purchase several print advertisements, and I established an online presence immediately. This was like 12 years ago, and even at that time, if someone wants window cleaner, they're going to type in window cleaner Irwin, window cleaner Newsstand. That's how you all look. You want pizza, what do you type in? So if you can get your search results to bring you to the top of that, you're in a really good place starting out. I didn't focus a whole lot on social media at that time because it really kind of didn't exist, and yes, that's how old I am. So now, through that, I built a company, and the company's been functioning and running now for 12 years. So where we're at today, we now have a physical location with a full-time office manager and admin. which initially, I mean, I did all the phone calls, book work, scheduling myself, which eventually became overwhelming. You have to make routes up for each truck every day, and the phone calls and estimates, it just became way too much, and fortunately we were able to eventually afford to hire a full-time person to do that. Currently have 10 employees and 7 trucks on the road each day. We service most of the greater Pittsburgh region. At last look, our CRM software, which is kind of our accounting and scheduling software, shows our database at over 3,000 customers. So from none to 3,000, it's grown quite a bit, and that includes, I mean, from the smallest little ranch home you can think of to big office buildings. What sets our company apart from the competition? This is huge. You need to be unique, or what's the point of going to? I think so many, I see, especially with like pizza shops, my family we grew up in the restaurant industry, and I see so many people that put these shops up because they might have made pizza for 3 years at some pizza shop and think they can just go run and open their own, just do the same product, the same spill. You really got to be unique. You got to offer something different. So one of the big things we focus on is quality over quantity. Every industry is going to be different, and ours, a big problem is so many companies, they kind of charge basement prices, which forces them to have to do, I mean, tens of accounts a day. The problem is they're rushing their work, the quality lacks extremely. So we do charge a premium, but most customers are happy to pay that because they get someone showing up in a uniform, a company that's insured, they know who to expect, their phone calls are returned immediately, we take our time. So, I mean, people will pay more for a premium service. Don't think that it just has to be a game of who can have the lowest price. Because all you're going to do then is cut yourself short, and you're cutting your work short, and it's just not going to be a great outcome. All of our techs are clean cut, they all wear uniforms. The trucks are all decal wrapped, they're clean, they're professional. All phone calls are returned within 24 hours. That includes estimates are always out within 24 hours. Full-time office manager, secretary, administrator. Customer's always right. A lot of these things I'm going to cover, you know, the things that sound basic and you've heard a million times, but customer's always right. You all know that, but have a customer call you and be 100% wrong and tell you something you don't want to hear. I mean, you're going to go to bite your tongue. A lot of people can't, and they struggle with it. There are times, of course, where you have to tell a customer this isn't the way it is. But when they say we missed a window or we did this, of course, yes ma'am, yes sir, let me make that right for you, let me get out there and get that. Just promote friendships, relationship with clients, kind of ties in with that. Yeah, you're not just, some of your customers, you gotta really view them as a relationship or even a friendship, you know, something you're gonna have an extended relationship with. And of course, we're insured and properly licensed. Like I said, a lot of local companies don't even do that basic, a little bit of legwork. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about managing employees and staff. Another super important aspect of being self-employed. You got to be particular when hiring. You might have a hole to fill and someone seems like they could fit the bill and maybe they're just off the snuff, but really think twice before just making a hire. It's not always as easy to get rid of someone as it is to just hire the right person. Employees are the face of your company, and good or bad, they're going to reflect on you. When you send someone out with your name on their shirt, your company on, you know, customers are going to hold against you anything that, you know, they might do wrong. And that goes for good things too. So really try to promote, understand that customers are the face of your business. So my interviews are much more of a sit-down, in-depth conversation than just a run through their resume, a generic run through their resume. I'm really trying to get to know someone the best I can in that short time. Super important. We always check up on referrals and past employment. I think a lot of employers, they think just because someone puts down on a resume that they worked here or they have this referral, that must mean that that person has good things to say about them, so that's why they put it down. But we've had surprises by calling on these and checking on these. This all shows you how much your past can tie into your future, so always think about where you're headed. Social media investigation, yes, take note. Pretty much all companies do this, so think twice about what you have out there. We've had some people that seem great, you know, to the whole process, And then at last step, we go on their social media and see that they have their pants down, have the pictures, or some kind of belligerent behavior. And yeah, it's something to be cautious of. And balancing the line between friend and manager. This is huge too. Initially, my goal was to just be like one of the guys 100%. I never having power or authority over someone was never something that interested me. Like, just because you work for me, I'm not going to abuse that, and nobody should, but for some reason a lot of people, when they get even to one hire or just have any authority, it gets to people. But I want to just be a friend and one of the guys. That obviously gets taken advantage of. It's going to put you in a hard place when you have to correct people, especially when you have to fire people. So you need to maintain a good and honest relationship. It's huge, but you got to find the balance. And some of that's going to take you just learning on your own. Right off the bat, the two things you don't know are you don't want to be a dictator right off the bat, and you don't want to be their best friend off the bat. You're going to have to somewhere start in the middle, and you'll learn where you have to slide on the spectrum. I definitely did. I'm still learning with that. So yeah, there's a fine line here. It definitely takes some on-the-field learning. Some things we do to promote morale within the company and keep everybody united front. We do holiday parties. The guys love the weekly NFL pick'em thing we do with the games every week. We do an NCAA basketball poll that the guys have fun with throughout the season there. We have group get-togethers throughout the year and just do a lot of things to keep everybody kind of united and on the same page. So continuing with managing your employees, another big thing is motivation and accountability. Unfortunately, this is just something that applies to human beings in general. Without motivation, without something to strive for, we kind of get stuck on the rat wheel sometimes. So some things we do to our company to keep people motivated, monthly progress meetings, which is incentive-based pay. So basically we have sit-downs with our people, and with our software we're able to look at data and analytics and basically see what their average daily intake is, their weekly revenue and monthly, and we can show them, hey, you brought in this much a year ago, you bring this much in now, that's great, we're going to reward you with extra pay, we're going to increase your pay. And vice versa, if they're going down, we need to show them where they're at. As a company, you need to grow, and hiring isn't always the answer to growing. A lot of times it's getting more out of you, out of your people. So that's a big one. And some need to be challenged more than others. The amount and type of motivation varies by individual, so you have to kind of know your people. Some can be pushed a lot harder, some can't take a lot of pushing. I'm sure you guys are like that yourselves. So mistakes I've made along the way, I made a ton, and no matter how organized you are going into business, you're going to have tons of mistakes. You're going to hopefully learn from them, survive them, and go on to succeed. So probably my biggest misstep was thinking I knew way more than I did. I didn't spend enough time learning my actual trade. So I mentioned we had a window cleaner that serviced my dad's restaurant. I worked with him for literally a few days. He showed me how to clean a window. I'm like, I'm good, man. Let's go start my company. And literally found out that I was just totally misinformed. So I wasted a lot of time and just trying to learn on the job. Another thing was I found out I was afraid of heights way too late, and I'm dead serious. Like I said, he showed me how to clean a couple windows, and go back to that. In business, there's two things you have to know. It's business and your trade. And so many people have learned to trade, like the pizza shop guy. He knows the trade well, but goes into business and finds out he knows nothing about business. This is a super important thing for you guys to take from this. So I knew business, knew nothing about the trade, and thought I was good, and found out that I was horribly wrong. So you got to be a master of your trade or your craft, and you got to be, hopefully not a master of business, but be as educated as you can, because business isn't just knowing what you're selling. It's not just knowing what you're doing. It's knowing how to run a business. So literally I got to my first job on my own. I learned how to clean a couple windows, hadn't really climbed the ladders yet. I got probably 10 feet up my ladder and was froze, petrified. And I had this fear of I invested in this company, what do I do? And luckily, I don't know, somehow I fought through it, just managed to practice, and eventually, like anything, you do get used to it, but I'll never forget that day that I climbed that ladder, and I'm like, what did I do? How dumb was I? I never even gave this nearly enough thought. I thought I had given it tons of thought. So other mistakes were logistics. Initially, I spread myself too thin over just too large an area. In our line of work, you're trying to do, our routes are set up by area. So initially, I would have a job on one side of Pittsburgh, and the next job might be on the other side of town. The problem with that was I was spending so much time driving, wasting time, wasting gas money. I just spread myself too thin. Yeah, going back, I maybe should have just focused my initial advertising on just a smaller core area and expanded out from there. Struggled with implementing my growth strategy. So I had a plan for making this company into way more than just me and my truck. But knowing when to hire and when to reinvest in your company can be really tricky. You kind of get stuck in the status quo. Things were going, and you're making a little bit of money, but you're scared to take on the risk of a new hire because you think, well, I'm making a little bit of money, but do I have enough? If I take out 25, 30, 35,000 out of this, whatever, that put to a new employee, how do I make up that funds for myself? And the same as versus getting a new truck. And I definitely could have done all that sooner, but I was scared, and it's just another. These are all just learning experiences. Some of them could have killed me, but I survived them, and it just made me all the stronger. So some more advice that I've learned through my business and just life experience. Goals are vital to success. You're going to hear that from everyone that probably comes in to speak to you guys. And there's a reason people always say this, though. It's because successful people almost always had goals. They wrote them down. They go back to them often. And when you achieve some, make new ones. They constantly check in with them. Just remember, when you hear stuff like that all the time, I used to think okay, that means I can just put it out of my brain. But as you get older, you find out there's a reason you hear this stuff all the time. And if it was easy to retain and easy to do, people wouldn't repeat it so much. People would just do it. So obviously, it's hard to actually do. It takes motivation to go do that. So this thing, even with your education, everything, just take that with you. Accountability is huge. It's so important to have someone that can hold you accountable to your goals, to your dreams. That could be a sibling, a parent, a spouse. Now, if you have no one, that's fine. You just have to hold yourself accountable. So this means checking in with yourself at random dates. Maybe set a scheduled time or date that you're going to have a check-in with yourself and see if I've done what I'm supposed to do. Set a reminder on your phone. A big thing not to forget. The golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated. You're not going to get far in business if you don't treat people with respect and kind. Besides, it's just nice to be nice. That's just the rule I live by in my life in general. But treat people kind, and just trust me, it's going to save you time, money, and headaches. And then my advice, just avoid politics. I see so many businesses that are out there with their staunch beliefs, their green spaces are just covered in election signs, and you're going to alienate half your potential customers right off the bat. You're going to offend people. It's just going to cause you problems. Don't misunderstand me. If you guys want to be involved, that's awesome. Be involved in support local candidates, contribute, rally, be involved, but just keep it that to your personal life, separate from your business life. This isn't something you're going to learn in the textbook. These are just things that I've learned, and I see people that have just alienated so many customers by, putting their beliefs out there. Like I said, you do that, but just do it on your personal side. That's just something from me. Okay, don't forget charities and supporting the local community. The first reason is donating is just good for your soul. Once you've achieved a little bit of a success, you're going to feel so great when you can use that to help others. The community supports us, so we should support it back, obviously. And brand image. A lot of people don't want to mention this when it comes to donating, but this is great for your brand image. It's going to make your company look good. The public loves seeing a company that's helping the local community and supporting charities. So it can be a selfish thing, too, to do charities. Some things we do at our company, we have a highway letterboard that we rent out to anybody for any local cause or any cause. they make a small donation that goes to a random charity, and they get to sign for a few days. So through that we've donated to tons of charities. Our highway sign is just a big hit. I don't know if anyone drives past Route 30 where we're at, but we always have something usually pretty silly on our board. People usually notice it. We do Toys for Tots. That's always a big hit. We usually get a few bins filled up every holiday. We're a member of the Northern Chamber of Commerce and also a couple other small business organizations and community organizations. So I guess that's about the end. Hopefully there's a couple things you guys can take from that and apply to your education or to any future business goals. I wish you guys all the best. You're off to a good foot here with Professor Calissimo. So yeah, I wish you guys the best, and anything I can answer for you guys. Any questions?
Questions? Yeah, I knew it. Get ready, Nick.
Yeah, so what actually did you go to school for? What was your major?
Just general business, management, marketing.
So like business administration?
Yeah, and it was yeah, pretty general. It wasn't a super focused, just a like general business degree, and yeah. I mean, at that time, I had no clue what I wanted to do, so, and my brother was into advertising and communication. He kind of had a better idea where he wanted to go, so I tried to stay as general as I could, and yeah, I knew at that time, I still knew at that time that I wasn't someone that wanted to do a 9 to 5, and at times I questioned, like, why, what was I doing? But I knew it wasn't going to hurt to have an education, but yeah, I did keep it general just to keep my options open, and yeah, about it.
Saw another one up here. Melissa?
Being a small business manager and owner, do you handle HR on your own mostly?
Yeah, most of those choices are getting made on your own. I do have some family involved in the business now. I have 2 brothers that work with me. My wife runs the office, so some of them are group decisions. But yeah, anything along those lines. The final word usually comes down to me as the owner. You know, hopefully as you get older, you can start, you know, putting some of that into different people, but you're going to handle most things on your own as a small business owner. Yeah.
As a follow-up to that, what's the hardest thing you've had to do in terms of keeping that manager and friend line?
That's a good question. See, I know, I guess initially, like I said, I really was trying to be way too friendly. And then when I had to have a sit down with someone, it's just when you've already built a relationship with someone, you build it in a certain way. So all of a sudden, turn that into something else is really tricky. And maybe I'm just too nice of a person, too soft. But once I built this friend basis, I have to sit down now and like give a warning, give a critique on something, or you know, sometimes it got abused to the point where it was like okay, this is your last step. I'm going to fire you. And it's like it can be hard to tell someone that when you've built your relationship with the wrong basis. So how I do that, yeah, like I said, it's something you really got to kind of go into on your own. But like I said, you don't want to be authoritative and a dictator to these people. You want to be kind and considerate, but you also have to remember that it's your company and no one's going to care about it like you do. So yeah, it's something that you have to kind of learn on your own too, as far as finding that line, that happy medium. Yep.
So, this might come out like weird, I don't know how to put it.
Okay, I'm weird.
So, how would you like decide when to like clean windows for like a living? Like other than you love it to be outside, like I know you do it in the winter time, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Like, are you like passionate about it? Or?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. This is a topic that it's going to vary. It's my opinion. Like I could have thought about what do I want to do. You know, I want to be a professional athlete, or I want to be. I mean, if it would have been what I truly want to do, it definitely wouldn't have been this. But in my theory, if my real goals in life were to eventually have a family, have a wife that I can make happy, and I'm willing to sacrifice maybe not doing my dream job to accomplish my real dream. So that's a way you can look at it. And yeah, we just, like I said, I was trying to think of things I could do as a small business. We had a window cleaner at my dad's little business, and that just was one of the list of things we were brainstorming on. And as we started cutting things out and seeing what could work, you know, that just seemed like something that I could do. And you know, I like being outside. You know, the guy we knew that did it, he seemed to do fairly well, like financially, and he wasn't getting rich, but he was just a one-man operation, but it was, yeah, doing, physical work. It wasn't something that was gonna coop me up in an office. So, yeah, there's a lot of different theories on that whole thing about doing your dreams. You can look at that different ways, basically. You understand what I'm saying? So I might not have got to be a professional baseball player, but I achieved my dream that I had beyond that, which is that all taking me to the point of having a beautiful family, house, and just, yeah, that's a beautiful life to me. So, who else? Yeah, go ahead.
Growing up with your parents owning a small business, did that influence you a lot too?
Yeah, it's hard to give a really objective answer because I don't know what I would do outside of that. But yeah, most of my family has been involved in small business, so it's hard to picture myself not kind of following in those footsteps. Although I have an identical twin brother, and he seemed like he knew he wanted to go in the corporate world, and he was great at that. So yeah, there's two identical people that made two different choices. But yeah, I have to say it definitely affected my decision. Yeah, that doesn't mean though just because you come from a family that generations and generations of working for somebody doesn't mean you can't be the one that's self-employed. It's anybody can do it. It's just the initiative. That's the big thing with everything. Just take initiative and doing it. Yep. Yeah,
Do you plan on like expanding your company, like opening more like buildings?
Yeah. So I should have talked about some more about the future plans. Yeah, I never was someone that's wanted to stay in place. So many local companies, most of them are one-man in the truck operations. Some have been doing it for decades, but they've always kept it at kind of that, and that's fine. I mean, off the bat, I was in the first couple of years I was bringing on help and trying to grow. Yeah, our goal was to hopefully have another truck spring or summer, and bring us to 8 trucks. Just consistently grow. I'd like to get into more areas. Eventually, I'd like to be able to right now I clean windows myself, and that's another thing you'll learn is like when you're involved in the business to that end, I could take myself out, but I have to think, what do I pay a new tech to come into my spot? That's a big chunk that I'm taking out of everything off the top of the business is your income. So if I'm taking, this money off the top to pay someone new, that's that less money I'm making. So am I ready to make that sacrifice to have more time off? And the time off wouldn't be off. You can be out just shaking, trying to get more jobs, going and get your name out there, advertising, talking to businesses, trying to build more relationships. But yeah, is that anybody else?
Did you decide, when did you decide that you wanted to become a limited liability corporation? How did you do that too?
That's a good question. I have to really even think back to how I made that decision. We actually changed. I'm trying to think back now how I did it. Originally, my brother was going to come on with me, and we were originally it was a general partnership, and yeah, when it became clear that he was kind of in the path he was going on and succeeding.